What is up, Soapbox fans? Welcome to another edition of the Soapbox. I decided to do this video after talking to a friend of mine about why cults still exist and why team sports are so popular. And it all comes down to a sense of community. So let's go back to the cult idea first. People join cults and other people wonder, okay, how do these people, like, it's not just a charismatic leader. How do people abandon everything that they've known their whole lives? Sometimes their family. How do people turn over their paychecks, and everything to follow this complete stranger? And what I was thinking about that. And I thought that's a really good question. I wonder why people do that. Normal people, sensible people. Why the heck would somebody take the time to do that, or really get into it? And what it comes down to is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. For those of you that aren't familiar, you should take some time to look it up. A lot of psychology goes into it, and a lot of psychology studies it. But honestly, there's a sense of needing to feel like you're needed, like important. And the very top of the pyramid is self-actualization, which is being the best you that you can be. And I think that the reason people pick the cliques that they do, the reason that people choose to be on sports teams that they do, the reason that people decide that they want to join a cult, for example, is because they're missing that sense of belonging, that sense of community, that sense that they matter, that they fit in, and that they're important. And what's interesting about that is it's really telling about how society as a whole has changed. And not necessarily for the better. Let me give you an example. When I was a kid, I knew my neighbor's name. I knew their kids. My parents knew them. Like, I'm talking about the neighbors that were right next door, the neighbors on the other side. We knew which neighbors were behind our house. And my parents had a regular fence, like a chain link fence around the backyard, but it was only because we had a dog and we wanted to let him run free out back. We didn't have a privacy fence. It wasn't until many, many, many years later that my parents had a privacy fence built, and that was when the apartment next door, were starting to let in some pretty shady characters, and drug use became pretty rampant in our town, and so it was kind of a protection thing. We didn't really trust our neighbors. But back when I was a kid, you went trick-or-treating, and your parents didn't necessarily have to go with you after age 12 or 13 or whatever. When I was age 10, I think, my parents let me run around and go play. And the rule was, as long as I was in the house before it was dark and I could hear my mom yell for me at supper time and I came running, or she knew where I was, like I was at a friend's house, then it was fine. I could walk there, I could walk back, and it was totally safe and totally fine. And there's still neighborhoods where that's the case. But, like, my daughter's 10 now, and I would not trust other people. Like, I trust her and I trust her judgment, but I don't trust other people at all. I don't know my neighbors by name. I don't know the neighbors on the left of me. I don't know the neighbors on the right of me. And it's not because both of those houses are rental properties. I do know that one of the people on one side of my house I don't trust at all. So my wife and I had a privacy fence built. Like, it's a serious thing. We feel safer in our neighborhood because we built this privacy fence. And they say good fences make good neighbors. And I'm sad to say that's probably very true. I do know my neighbors across the street, and I like them, and I watch out for their house. They watch out for mine. So in that sense, it's old world. But you don't have, like, neighborhood barbecues anymore. You don't, like, a lot of people don't even go to church anymore. And those who do, I think, go to church because of the sense of community. There's a sense of mutual. There's something mutual in common. There's a sense of family. Like, the best teams, the best companies, all their employees say, we feel like a family. We're more than just an employment or an employer-employee opportunity. We care about family because we are a family. And, football teams, basketball teams, sports teams, they all say they feel like a family. And I think that sense of family is what's really kind of missing. Whether it's because of political divides, whether it's because of miscommunication, whether it's because society as a whole has changed. Maybe it has to do with racism. Maybe it has to do, like, there's a lot of reasons that might be the case. But if you had somebody charismatic show up in your life, or one of your friends who you haven't talked to in a while said, oh, you got to come with me to this church group. You have to come with me to this group. You might first be leery, but if you really respect that friend and what they think, because you respect that friend and you want that sense of belonging, you might go with them to this church group or whatever, even if it's not your scene. And if some charismatic leader just kind of showed up, the charismatic person showed up and said, thank you for coming. You belong here. And I don't mean that like to be creepy. I mean it because here we care about you. We care about what you bring. And everybody here has a story and we want to hear it. So thank you so much for taking the time to come here. I think that's why a lot of YouTube channels might even be popular. I know I'm so random, but blame the ADD. I don't care. YouTube channels become popular because it's an instant gratification thing. You leave a comment that if it's a channel that's super popular and they comment back, you feel super important and you get an upvote. That's super cool. You get a bunch of likes. You want that sense of belonging. You want that sense of feeling. You want that sense of gratification that what you have to say and what your perspective is really does matter. And I don't know if that's because we have a culture where we need that instant feedback. I don't know if it's because we live in a culture where we are not supported enough. Our families don't support us enough. Maybe we're over-coddled. Maybe we need affirmation a lot more than we have in the past. I'm not sure how that works. But what I do know and what I do think is that a certain amount of feeling like you matter is critical to everyone's success, to anyone's success. We all want to feel like our contributions and what we say is important, and we all want to be heard. I mean, hell, that's part of the reason that I started the soapbox, is I felt like I had important things to say and they shouldn't go undocumented. I know that's very arrogant and it sounds arrogant, but I think everybody does. Everybody has important things to say, and it shouldn't go undocumented. So, long story short, all the craziness aside, I want to talk for a second also about the social media side of it. I touched on it with Facebook, but think about it. When you tweet, if you're on Twitter and you have 400 followers, you want more followers. And the way Twitter works is you follow people, they follow you back. Hopefully, if people follow you, you follow them back. It's common courtesy. It's how the community grows. But it's about interactions. You like somebody's comment, you share somebody's comment, you play the hashtag games, and you get a big response. I have 3,500 followers on Twitter, something like that. And it's at ADD Magician. Yeah, that was a plug. I don't care. Nobody's going to see this anyway. But the way that I got that many followers is that every Friday I would do a hashtag FF, friend follow, or friend Friday, whatever you want to call it. And I would list off all the people who followed me that week. And then those people would retweet it. And then, other people would follow me. And it just grew and grew and grew. And this was back when I think my Twitter handle at the time was Steve the Zombie or Steve Does Zombie or something. But all I was putting out was zombie content, and it just kept growing. And even now that it's ADD Magician, I get a bunch of followers. Like I get probably 15 followers per week, and I'm not even doing the friend follow thing anymore. And it's just because I'm commenting on other people's stuff. I'm letting other people know that what they think is important, or I'm liking it. I'm giving them that. Oh God, I can't even think of the word. It's not justification. It's not qualification. It's not acceptance. And I know that whoever's watching this, the word I'm thinking of. But there's a certain word for it. It's a not affirmation. It's something else. But anyway, I'm giving them that that you matter just by hitting like or by sharing it or retweeting it or whatever. Same thing with Facebook. When I first got on Facebook, I friended everybody I ever met. Now I've limited it down. I've pared it down to just my closest friends and family, and if not even my professional associates really are on my friends list on Facebook. And I have it totally locked down, so the only people who can see my posts are friends. It's because I don't necessarily want the whole world knowing my entire life story. I don't want the whole world seeing pictures of my kids. I don't want the whole world knowing all of my political views all the time. So, I tamped that down a bit. But back in the day, I wanted that sense of community. I wanted that sense of belonging. I wanted that affirmation. I wanted to know that what I had to say mattered. So I think I've driven the point home enough. This is kind of a quick vlog. I appreciate you taking the time to watch it. If you do, special thanks to my buddy Carl Gianetto, who encouraged me to post this. We had a real brief conversation about this kind of topic, and he suggested that I just go ahead and post it. I hope you like the format of this. Sometimes I'll do these raw ones where I don't have an intro. Other times I'll take the time to edit it. I guess it all kind of depends on what it is and all that. But yeah, that's all I've got today. I'm going to go ahead and step off the soapbox. But if you like this content, give me a like. If you are enjoying it, go ahead and hit share or subscribe. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I will catch you on the flip side.